Trust was everything to me. I believed it was the foundation upon which every relationship, every connection, every hope was built. Without trust, there was nothing, no safety, no honesty, no love. I guarded it fiercely like a fragile treasure because I knew how easily it could be broken. But one day that trust was betrayed. I didn't see it coming, at least not at first. The signs were subtle, a missed call here, a vague excuse there, small cracks that I ignored or rationalized away. I wanted to believe in the person I cared for, to believe that our bond was unbreakable. I told myself that trust wasn't something you give lightly, but once given, it was sacred. Then came the moment when the betrayal revealed itself in full, sharp clarity. A text message not meant for me, a secret kept too long, a truth that shattered the world I had built. The realization hit me like a blow. The person I had trusted with my heart had broken the very promise that held us together. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. It wasn't just the act of betrayal itself, but the fracture it caused inside me. My sense of self, my belief in love, my ability to trust again, all were called into question. I felt lost in a storm of emotions: anger, sadness, disbelief, and an aching void where certainty used to live. The person I had loved and believed in suddenly seemed like a stranger, someone I didn't know at all. I wrestled with questions that had no easy answers. Why did it happen? Was I not enough? Could it have been prevented? The betrayal echoed in my mind, rewriting memories and distorting the past. The aftermath was a difficult path, one filled with confrontation, heartbreak, and the painful unraveling of what once was. I had to confront the truth, even when it hurt more than I thought possible. But amidst the pain, there was also a spark of resilience. I learned that betrayal, while devastating, does not have to define me. It does not have to be the end. Through the darkness, I began the slow journey toward healing. I learned to reclaim my power, to rebuild trust, first in myself, then in others. It was a journey marked by tears, tough conversations, and the hard work of forgiveness. The betrayal of trust taught me harsh but valuable lessons about boundaries, self-worth, and the fragile beauty of human connection. It revealed the depths of pain love can bring, but also the strength it can inspire. And though the scars remain, I carry them not as a weight, but as a testament to survival and growth. Trust, I realized, is not given blindly, but it can be rebuilt with courage and care. This is my story of betrayal, a story of loss, pain, and ultimately hope. The night I discovered the betrayal is etched into my memory like a scar I can never forget. It started as an ordinary evening, the kind of quiet night where nothing seems out of place. I was scrolling through my phone, half listening to the hum of the television when a message popped up. It wasn't from them, or at least, it wasn't meant for my eyes. The screen lit up with words that shattered the world I thought I knew. I stared at the text, disbelief flooding my veins. The words were clear, but the meaning behind them was devastating. There was no way to ignore the truth staring back at me. That moment became a fracture in time, before and after. I felt the air leave my lungs. The room spun, and for a few seconds I was frozen, trapped in a nightmare where trust had been ripped away without warning. Every laugh we had shared, every promise whispered in the dark, suddenly felt like lies. I remember the swirl of emotions, anger burning hot and fierce, sadness heavy and suffocating, confusion twisting my thoughts. I wanted to scream, to cry, to run away. But mostly, I wanted to understand how someone I had trusted so completely could betray me in the most fundamental way. The following days were a blur. I confronted them, searching for answers, for an explanation, for something that could make sense of the senseless. But the conversations were painful, raw, filled with tears and broken promises. The betrayal wasn't just a momentary lapse. It was a deep wound, cutting through the foundation of our relationship. I realized then how fragile trust really is. It's not a simple thing to rebuild once broken. It requires time, patience, and a willingness from both sides to face uncomfortable truths. For me, the hardest part was not just the betrayal itself, but the self-doubt it ignited. I questioned my worth, my judgment, and whether I had been blind to signs I missed. The betrayal made me question love itself. Could I ever trust again without fear? But as days turned into weeks, something shifted inside me. Amidst the pain, a small flame of resilience sparked. I refused to let this betrayal define me or destroy my capacity to love. I began to focus on healing, on reclaiming my sense of self and learning to set boundaries that protected my heart. The journey wasn't linear. There were moments of weakness, days when the past haunted me with vivid memories. But with time, I found strength in vulnerability, in talking openly with trusted friends and seeking help. I learned that healing requires honesty with myself and with those around me. Eventually, I came to understand that forgiveness, not for them, but for myself, was essential. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting or excusing the betrayal. It meant releasing the hold that pain had on me, freeing myself from bitterness. I rebuilt my life piece by piece, learning to trust again, cautiously at first, but with growing confidence. I realized that trust is a gift, fragile but powerful, and that I deserved relationships where it was honored and reciprocated. The betrayal of trust was a dark chapter, but it was not the end of my story. It became a lesson in resilience, self-respect, and the enduring hope that love, when grounded in honesty and care, can survive even the deepest wounds. I remember the silence that followed the storm, that heavy, suffocating quiet that settled between us after the truth was out. Words had failed us both. The betrayal had fractured everything we once took for granted. Trust, intimacy, the simple comfort of knowing we were safe with each other. It was as if the foundation of our relationship had cracked, and we were left to wonder if it could ever be repaired. In those quiet moments, I felt utterly alone, even when we were in the same room. The space between us was filled with unsaid apologies, lingering doubts, and the ghost of what once was. I wanted to scream at the unfairness, to demand answers that might never come, but instead I retreated into myself, building walls thicker than ever before. Every memory was replayed with painful clarity, the times when I should have seen the signs but didn't. The moments of laughter now tinged with the bitter knowledge that it had all been a fragile illusion. Trust, I realized, was fragile in a way I had never fully understood until it was gone. Yet, amidst the wreckage, I clung to hope. Hope that somehow, some way, healing was possible. That even shattered trust could be mended with enough care and honesty. But hope is a fragile thing too, easily broken by repeated wounds and lingering betrayals. I questioned everything, not just about them, but about myself. Had I been naive? Was I too trusting? Had I failed to protect my heart? These questions haunted me, whispering doubts that made it hard to believe in love again. But as time passed, I started to see the cracks not just as damage, but as openings. Openings where light could enter, where growth could happen. I began to understand that healing doesn't mean forgetting the pain. It means learning to live with it, to carry it without letting it define you. I sought out support, friends who listened without judgment, professionals who helped me untangle the knots of betrayal and loss. Through their kindness, I rediscovered my worth and my strength. I learned that I was not broken, just battered, and that I could rebuild. The journey to rebuild trust, in others and in myself, was long and winding. It required patience, forgiveness, and most of all, courage. Courage to be vulnerable again, to open my heart even when it trembled with fear. Slowly, I found relationships where trust was honored and nurtured, places where honesty wasn't just a word, but a promise kept every day. I learned to set boundaries that protected my peace without shutting out love. The betrayal of trust left scars, yes, but it also gave me a new understanding of love's complexity. It showed me that trust is both a gift and a responsibility, that it can be broken but also rebuilt stronger than before. Now, when I think back on that dark time, I don't just see pain and loss. I see resilience, growth, and the unbreakable spirit that carried me through. This is my confession, a story of betrayal and heartbreak, but also of healing and hope. A reminder that even when trust is shattered, the heart can find its way back to love. The days stretched into weeks, and the weeks into months. Each morning I woke with a knot of anxiety lodged deep in my chest, a reminder that the betrayal still lived within me, casting long shadows over everything I tried to build afterward. The trust that once made me feel safe now felt fragile, like a glass teetering on the edge of a table, ready to shatter at the slightest touch. I found myself questioning every relationship that followed. Could I truly open my heart again? Would I ever be able to let someone in without the specter of betrayal looming over me? The fear of being hurt again wrapped itself around me like a thick fog, clouding my judgment and dulling my capacity to trust. At times I isolated myself, retreating into the safety of solitude. It felt easier than risking the pain of betrayal again. I convinced myself that I didn't need anyone, that I was better off alone. But loneliness is a harsh companion, and eventually the silence became unbearable. Slowly, I began to reach out, hesitantly testing the waters of connection. Some people welcomed me with open arms, their kindness a balm to my wounded soul. Others were cautious, unsure how to navigate the cracks left by my past. And some hurt me unintentionally, their words or actions stirring the old fears anew. Through it all, I clung to the hope that one day I could rebuild my ability to trust, not just others, but myself. That I could learn to discern who was worthy of my heart and who wasn't. That I could love without the constant shadow of doubt. The journey was far from linear. There were setbacks and moments of despair, nights when tears flowed freely, and days when the weight of betrayal felt too heavy to bear. But each time, I found a little more strength, a little more courage to keep moving forward. Therapy became a crucial part of my healing. In those sessions, I confronted the pain head-on, unearthing buried feelings and confronting painful truths. It was uncomfortable and exhausting, but it also gave me tools to understand myself better and to build healthier relationships. I learned that trust is not blind faith, but a choice made daily. A fragile dance of vulnerability and self-protection. I discovered that forgiving someone who betrayed me didn't mean excusing their actions, but freeing myself from the grip of resentment. One of the hardest lessons was learning to forgive myself for trusting too much, for not seeing the signs, for feeling broken. Self-forgiveness was the key that unlocked the door to true healing. Gradually, I started to rebuild my life, brick by brick. I surrounded myself with people who honored my boundaries and respected my journey. I found joy in small moments, in laughter, in shared experiences that didn't carry the weight of past betrayals. The betrayal of trust was a wound that would never fully disappear. But it became a part of my story. A chapter that shaped me, taught me resilience, and deepened my understanding of love. As I moved toward the middle of my healing, I realized that trust is a gift we give to ourselves as much as to others. It's the foundation of connection, but it also requires nurturing and care. I became more discerning, more attuned to the subtle signs of honesty and integrity. I learned to listen to my intuition and to honor my feelings rather than dismissing them. And slowly, carefully, I opened my heart again. Not recklessly, but with wisdom born of experience. The road ahead was uncertain, but I was no longer afraid. I carried my scars with pride, knowing they were marks of survival and growth. The betrayal of trust had changed me, but it had not destroyed me. The days after the betrayal felt like waking up in a world where all the colors had drained away. The laughter, the warmth, the sense of safety I once took for granted had been replaced by a cold void. I found myself trapped in a cycle of replaying the moment I uncovered the truth. The way my hands trembled, the sickening pit that opened in my stomach, the shock that refused to fade. Every detail burned into my memory, a painful tattoo I could neither erase nor forget. I questioned everything, every word spoken between us, every promise made, every glance that now seemed laced with deception. The person I thought I knew had vanished beneath layers of lies, and I was left grappling with the fragments of a shattered illusion. Sleep became elusive. Nights stretched endlessly as my mind raced with 1,000 what-ifs and whys. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of betrayal press down on my chest. The quiet darkness amplified my loneliness, and I felt like a stranger in my own life. During the day, I moved through familiar routines like a ghost. Conversations felt hollow, smiles forced. I avoided friends and family, unable to bear the thought of explaining, of reliving the pain through words. Instead, I buried myself in work, trying to distract my mind from the relentless ache. But no matter how hard I tried, the betrayal was a shadow that clung to me. It seeped into every thought, coloring my perception of myself and the world. I began to doubt my own worth. Was I not enough? Had I missed the signs? Was I to blame for trusting so deeply? The self-doubt was corrosive. It eroded my confidence, making me question not just my judgment but my very identity. I struggled to reconcile the person I had been with the person I was now forced to confront. Someone wounded, cautious, unsure. I retreated further, fearing that if I let anyone in, they too would find reasons to hurt me. The walls I built to protect my heart grew higher, thicker, but the isolation they created was suffocating. In those dark days, I realized that betrayal doesn't just break trust. It fractures your sense of safety, your belief in the goodness of others, and most painfully, your belief in yourself. Yet, amidst the despair, a flicker of resilience remained. I didn't want to be defined by this pain. Somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice urged me to hold on, to find a way through the darkness. Slowly, I began to seek help. I confided in a close friend, trembling as I revealed the truth. Their kindness was a balm to my wounded spirit. I found myself not alone, but surrounded by compassion. Therapy became my refuge. In the safe space of those sessions, I confronted my pain honestly for the first time. I unraveled the tangled emotions, anger, grief, betrayal, shame, and began to understand that healing was possible. Through therapy, I learned to forgive. Not to excuse the betrayal, but to release its hold on me. Forgiving meant reclaiming my power, refusing to be a prisoner of past hurts. I discovered that healing is not linear. Some days I felt strong, hopeful, ready to trust again. Other days, the pain surged like a tidal wave, threatening to drown me. But with each wave, I learned to float, to breathe, to keep moving forward. Rebuilding trust was perhaps the greatest challenge. How could I open my heart again when it had been shattered so completely? How could I believe in love when betrayal had tainted it so deeply? The answer came slowly, through small steps. I started by trusting myself, my feelings, my boundaries, my worth. I learned to listen to my intuition, to recognize what felt safe and what didn't. I surrounded myself with people who honored my journey, who held space for my vulnerabilities without judgment. Their presence reminded me that trust is not blind, but earned through consistency, respect, and love. I also learned to set boundaries, firm, clear lines that protected my well-being. Saying no became an act of self-respect. I stopped apologizing for my needs. Through this process, I found love again. Not the reckless, naive love of the past, but a deeper, more grounded love rooted in authenticity and mutual respect. I began to open my heart cautiously, allowing vulnerability to coexist with strength. I discovered that to love is to risk, but to risk is also to grow. The scars of betrayal remain, a reminder of pain endured and lessons learned. They are not signs of weakness but marks of survival. I carry them with me, proud and unashamed, because they tell the story of a heart that refused to be broken beyond repair. The betrayal of trust was a wound that reshaped me, but it did not destroy me. It taught me the value of honesty, the importance of boundaries, and the power of forgiveness. Most of all, it taught me that trust is a sacred gift, fragile, precious, but capable of being rebuilt with care and courage. As I stand here today, I am stronger than I was before. I am more compassionate, more discerning, and more deeply connected to myself and others. This confession is my truth, a story of heartbreak and healing, loss and hope. A testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of trust. And though the betrayal once threatened to break me, I have chosen to rise, to love again, to trust again, and to live fully with an open heart. Because even in the face of betrayal, love remains worth fighting for. In the end, betrayal taught me that trust is not just about others, it's about trusting myself to heal, to set boundaries, and to love again. The journey is ongoing, but I carry hope now, a fragile but fierce hope that even shattered hearts can mend. This is my story, my confession, a testament to pain survived and strength found.